Hello and welcome to the Cold Coffee Club, a podcast brought to you by Houston Moms. We're here to give you a little bit of that mom-to-mom connection, fun, and conversation amidst all the chaos. Join us as we take a break from doing all the things and explore the wide spectrum of this crazy motherhood world. We'll interview fun guests, talk about cool grown-up topics, laugh, share, and grow together. So go ahead, reheat that coffee, and put your feet up. Here we go.
Good morning, Cold Coffee Club. This is Ashley.
Hey, this is Jenny.
Hey, Jenny. All right, let's jump right in. Spill some tea for us.
So we've had a little excitement over at our house. My little girl, who's 10, has a sports injury because she's such an athlete. She's a dancer, and she has been complaining about her ankle for a while, or in her foot. And honestly, I just thought, well, you dance all the time, and dancers have hurt feet. You know, y'all get sore, but it's just kind of been a little bit more consistent. It seems to be getting worse. And so we took her in, and she has something called Sever's disease, which is pretty common, I'm learning, in kids that are growing. It is like especially active kids. So kids that play soccer, kids that do gymnastics. It's like kind of like an athletic kids growing disease. And it's like where your growth plate meets your heel. Okay. It's real tight in there. And so she has to take like 2 to 3 weeks off right now. We're doing some physical therapy, lots of stretching, lots of ice. She has to wear these little inserts in her shoes. I'm like, girl, we get you some orthotics. This is precious. But I mean, it's a little bit of a, you know, she's still going to dance to watch. Yeah. Like she's just going to sit on the sideline and just watch everybody, but she's not dancing. And so it's a very big event in her world, but she's going to be okay. It's not permanent, you know, it's not a career ending injury. Yeah. So it's led to some really big conversations.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm glad she's doing okay.
Thank you. So what'd you do this weekend? You got any cream and sugar for us?
I took my boys to the art car show.
Yay.
Yes, we are just checking off the list of like Houston traditions that we did not know about. And we had an absolute blast. My kids, you know, they were incredible critiques. They were like, well, that one's not as interesting, but that one is amazing. I can't believe they did that. That's so cool. They were so into it. And this is definitely going to be a tradition for us now. It was a beautiful day, lots of creativity. We got to see one of our contributors with Houston Moms, Chris Sizemore.
Yes, I was about to say, I was wondering if you saw her.
Yes, she was there. We saw her, and her Houston Women's Hiking Club had a really cool display. It was really just cool to see what people could come up with, and my kids were inspired. They saw some elementary schools had cars on display there, and they were like, well, why doesn't my school do that? I should talk to somebody about that.
They should
do that.
Go write a letter. I love that.
It was a blast.
It is such a cool, it's such a unique thing. Like it's such a weird Houston thing, but it's hard to explain to people what it is.
Yeah.
It is really neat and such a tradition, and
Yes, I had to explain to my kids. They thought we were seeing like fancy cars, like cool, like souped up kind of cars.
Paint. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes. So they were like, well, that's an old car with like stuff on it.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I told you it's art cars. Like, get it? And they're like, okay.
They're like, I wanted to see a Lamborghini.
Yes, that's what they thought. But they still enjoyed it. They had a great time. So,
Cute. Today's episode of the Cold Coffee Club is brought to you by us, Houston Moms. We want to tell you about our summer camp guide. We have worked so hard on this, and this is everything that you need to find the perfect camp for your kid this summer. Houston kids need somewhere to go over the summer, and whether you want to send them to an overnight camp or a day camp, this is the guide that you want to read. We have art camps, science camps, foreign language camps, filmmaking camps, sports camps. We really can't list them all. But I have been that mom that you go on June the 5th to try to find a day camp for your kids to go to. And guess what? There are none because everybody else did this back in April. So if you need to start looking, we have compiled all of them in one place. There are links, there are images, It's really beautiful. We worked really hard on it. We have it even separated into day camps and overnight camps. So if you want to send them away for a week, or if you just want them gone from 9 to 3, we have all of that there. So click the link in our show notes, check out that camp guide, and get on it, moms. You need to get them registered. Those spots are filling up fast. All right, back to the show. So today we're going to be talking about the anxious mama. We saw in an article from What to Expect that over 2/3 of moms in this article that they studied here, 68% of moms say that they experience anxiety. More than a third of those, 35%, report their anxiety levels as moderate to severe. And that is substantial. That is a lot of women that are experiencing this. And so we just kind of wanted to talk about it, how we experience anxiety, like kind of how it manifests itself in our parenting and how we're handling it. So, I mean, Ashley, do you worry? Like, what do you, tell me what your life is like.
So I learned the term anxious optimist from a book I was reading. And that is me to a T. I think the sky's the limit. I'm excited about life, but also I'm a little bit nervous about things, and I've always been that way. And then becoming a mother definitely upped it a few notches. I am very much, we've talked about this before, I'm very much a type 6. I need to be ready for all the things because anything could happen. And so I see, especially in parenting, that I have to stop myself from telling my kids, like, be careful. And I have to change my language a little bit because I don't want them to be nervous and fearful the way I can be. Yes. Yeah. So I try to change my words, like, okay, pay attention. That's a better spin on it. But I see in myself that I like to control things. I like to make sure everyone's safe. I like to make sure we just got a handle on everything. And I get stressed out with that. I find myself getting sick to my stomach, like, oh, I'm stressing out a little too much.
Yeah.
So I see that in myself often. What about you? Are you that anxious mama?
So I am not classically, like, I feel like I worry about things other people don't. Like, I'm not overly obsessed with like real tangible things, like what they're wearing, what they're eating, what they're drinking. I'm not like following them around like, no, you need to look exactly like I need you to look, and I need you, like, in ways I am a laid back mom in ways. And a lot of times, like when they're sick, I don't get overly like my baby. Like most of the time I'm like, it's gonna be fine. Like, you know, when my kid falls off a piece of playground equipment, I'm like, you probably shouldn't have been doing that, you know? So like, I'm in ways I am laid back, but in other ways, oh my gosh, I am not. Like, I know that I have personal friends listening to this right now that just laughed when I said I'm a laid back mom. They're like, what? Because I am like, I can be a little hyper about things. I think a lot of it is I worry more about the emotional well-being of my people more than anything else. I worry that they are not okay, and if they're upset, and if they're in any kind of fear, or if they are if they're in a place of panic, then I feel like I need to get to them. And so a lot of times it's me just trying to prevent that from happening. And so that's a lot of it for me. And then also, I am very anxious. My environment and my atmosphere really dictates how I am. So like if I'm in a chaotic place, then I'm out of there. If my house is super messy and overwhelming, like I'm good to a point. Like I'm not super neatnik about stuff. Like things can be out of place, but when it gets to a level where everywhere I look is chaos, then I shut down. So I really need my environments around me to be, you know, you'll if I'm in a mall and it's crowded, you're gonna see me peel off and go find. I don't care if it's a store that I hate. if it's a store that's empty, that's the store that I'm going to be in.
Yep.
Because I can't be in the chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, you brought up a couple really good points. I'm similar to you in the sense that, after I had my first, I was like, the baby fell. Like I was upset about all those things. But by the third, I'm just like, you're fine. Brush it off. You're good. But I am very anxious about the world and like how it affects my children. Like there's so much out there that I can't control, and that stresses me out in here. The environment, I can handle some mess, but yes, when it becomes like chaotic or like my house, every house we've ever lived in, it is high ceilings and wood floors and all the noise. So I'm just like, hey, oh my gosh, please stop. And I've caught myself as a mom, I have caught myself a few times like lashing out at my children because it's like, I'm so overwhelmed right now. My children have so much energy, and their talking voices to me is yelling. I'm like, you need to stop what you're doing. I'm panicking. I can like feel like the little prickles in my body, like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Shut that down, please. And I try really hard, when we talk about how it manifests as us being parents, I try to check in with myself and maybe like step away for a second and like, okay, breathe, because you're getting upset with children. They're children. Let's remember that. They don't get it the way you get it. And so I have to step away, regroup a little bit, and then come back and try to explain to them what I'm dealing with. I'm like, hey, look, the way you're doing this is really stressing me out. Can we work together?
Right.
I love that you're having fun, but screaming at the top of your lungs.
Yeah.
Mom's gonna lose it. I need you to understand this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way where I will get, manifesting for me, like how it comes out is I can be really reactive, really short. Mm-hmm. I'm not so much a yeller, but I just will get real like, maybe abrupt with my kids, where it's like, you know what, fine, I'll do it. It's fine. I can get real just like, and I'll hear how I can tell is when my kids start going, I'm sorry, mom, sorry, mom, sorry, mom, sorry, mom. And it's not because I'm yelling at them, but they can just sense that I'm like done,
Yeah.
And so then the other thing I'll do is when I can tell that I'm going to be like that and I don't want to be like that, I will retreat. Where I will almost numb out and I like just shut down. Yeah. And so it's like almost like what's worse, like that I'm disassociating. Like I'm like, well, I'm not here anymore, so bye. Yeah. Or I'm, just snapping at people and being real like just snip, 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 where and I don't want to do that either. And so anyways, like I don't want to retreat all the time where they're like, where's mom?
Yeah.
Like, mom's hiding.
She can't deal right now.
Mom is not physically, mom's physically here, but she's not mentally here.
Yeah.
She has gone off to another place.
Yeah.
So.
I love that we both recognize that we sometimes need to step away. We live in a world right now where there is so much information. Like we're finding out about all the good things in life, but also all the bad things. And that fills your brains and you're like, what's in the water? Are my kids safe? Are we doing like, there's so many things that will bombard you as a mom that you want to protect your children. You want them to be safe and healthy and happy and all those things. And so kind of recognizing that those things are creeping into our minds and that we need to do our best to, be able to cope. And so, for me, going to therapy is so helpful, just dealing with all that stuff. And then, I spend a lot of time, like I mentioned, the art car show. It was super crowded. And that it wasn't like crazy noisy necessarily. It was outside, but just the fact that there were so many people that I don't know. I don't know these people. I don't know what they're capable of, whatever. But knowing that like, okay, we're here. Let's try to control the things I can control. So, my kids don't have cell phones, but they have these cute little watches. And so it's like, if we get separated, you can call me. I can find you, blah, blah, blah. Like, making sure that we have a plan. And I will mention one of our contributors, Becca. She is so great about, helping your children understand how to be safe without instilling fear in them, and making them fearful of the world. I love her tips because sometimes I have these fear monger moments where I'm like, do you know what could happen to you? And I'm like, don't be that, Mom. Please don't do that. You're scaring them. So instead, let's just have a plan. Let's be prepared because it helps me feel less anxious and I'm not freaking my kids out. And I'm not being that uptight mom. But then, just having these plans and like, hey, by the way, there's going to be a lot of people. If anything happens, you stand still. If you see a mom around, here's this, you have her, help you or whatever, but you have your watch, here's this. So understanding that, I can control the things that I can control, that life is life. It is going to be life. You've got to just manage in it all. So counseling has definitely helped with that. And journaling has helped with that for me.
Journaling.
Yes, it is done a world of wonder. And I also have a book that I do every day. It takes about 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night. And it's about gratitude and like, okay, these are the things I'm happy and thankful for. And life is good. That has definitely helped me simmer down that anxiety a little bit, just focusing as much as I can on the positive because there is so much negative out there. You have got to kind of balance it out because you will lose it.
Yes. And as I wasn't planning on mentioning this, but when you said journaling, I do really, sometimes I benefit from getting my thoughts out, but writing it by hand can be a little like exhausting for me and it doesn't come out fast enough for me when the words are just like but I also like sometimes get nervous about like putting things just like in a Word document because I'm just like, I don't need everybody finding this. So I found, and it's free, but I found online that like an online password locked live, kind of like a journal, like an online journal called Penzu, Penzu.
Okay.
And so it's just like a blank document and you can like save it. It's like your notes app or whatever. But if you want to sit at your computer and like type, it's all there. So
I like that. Very cool.
So I mean, yes, I go to counseling and I love my counselor and that is super beneficial for me. There's also a time and a place for meds. I would just like to say, please talk to your doctor. Please talk to your doctor. If you really need some help, because there comes a time where it goes beyond what you can actually help yourself through. Like there is. Also, I mean, going backwards a little bit when it's not to this point, words cannot express how much I love my noise canceling headphones. Grant regrets buying them for me for my birthday because he's like, Mom leaves us. She leaves us and goes to another place. I have these little earbuds that I wear to just kind of mute things a little bit. That's just even like when my house is just crazy, I'll just put those in while I'm just doing chores just because it's too much noise. One thing that I have had to get better about is swallowing my pride a little bit and telling Grant when I am not okay. And just saying like, because he's really great at being helpful, but there are times like he doesn't know when it's as bad as it is. It's not that he's oblivious. He's just like, he thinks I've got it. And so when I come to him and I'm like, I'm drowning and I've got this and 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 this to do. And he's like, oh, well, I can take these 5 things. I didn't know. Just say it. And like, he's super happy to help. He just, most of the time I can manage. But then I'll tank. And I've been really bad about waving that white flag and going like, I have to have help. And so I have to be, he's gotten better about asking me if I need help, but I also, when you've been married for as long as we've been married and we've always kind of done things one way, it's understandable that I've never done, I have to just change the pattern a little bit. So I wanted to mention two books that have helped me. One is more like This is from Dr. Elaine Aron, Aron, and it's called The Highly Sensitive Person. And this has been great about understanding myself, and I'm pretty sure my son Jack falls into this category. I'm almost certain. He's still developing, so time will tell, but sometimes when I read this I'm like, oh, it's him. But this is great about understanding like why I feel the way I feel in certain situations, and then like how to deal with those things and techniques. So this is kind of more helping me with my brain. And then from a more spiritual perspective, I don't normally recommend faith-based things here on this podcast because I know we have people that believe all different things. But this is a faith-based book, and it is by Sharon Hottie Miller, and it's called The Cost of Control. And one thing she has said is that the more you try to control things you cannot control, the more anxiety that it gives you. And so she kind of talks about the illusion of control, and like what that costs us, to that what we're trying when we try to have control, like what that is costing us. And she doesn't just say like, pray and then you won't feel this way anymore. Like, when I say it's faith-based, I don't mean to just, it's not like dismissive of it, but it does really give you some techniques. It's not just, so I really, but it does, it obviously comes from a place of faith. So, but I really found both of those books to be very helpful.
I will recommend a podcast called Mom Well with Erica Josa. It is all about just kind of managing motherhood and everything that comes with it, overstimulation, just being tired, all the things that kind of manifest into anxiety and stress and all that. And I love the tagline at the end. She always says, you have to be well to mom well. And I think we've talked about this a few times, that you know, can't pour from an empty cup. And, you know, we have to do what we need to do to be okay. Like I started instituting a touch timeout, because I get so overwhelmed and I'm like, mommy is on a touch timeout. Let's not touch her for 10 minutes. I can't be touched right now. And they're starting to get it. They're like, but I want a hug. And I'm like, I will absolutely give you a hug when my timeout is all done. I will save a hug for you. It is ready, but I need a minute.
And I get stressed out sometimes or anxious when, like, I think my kids sometimes get real touchy when they are bored. They don't have anything else to do, so they will literally just come, like, throw themselves on top of me. And I will be like reading or like in my office chair, and I'm like trying to type, and they're just like and you're like, oh my God, please. And like it's because it comes from a place of just like forcefulness, and not a place of like, hi mommy, like, you know, it's just like, let me just throw myself on you. And I'm always like, get off. And they're like all offended, and you're like, listen, if you want to come talk to me, let's talk. But like, you are not just gonna be bored out of your mind and come in here and just think like, I'll know what I'll do. I'm just going to throw my 50-pound body onto my mother when she's not expecting that. Like, that's going to be a way that's going to shoot me into the outer space. Like, I'm like, what are you doing right now? I always tell my kids something I say to them all the time, and they laugh at me. I always go, I am a person. I am not a piece of furniture. I am not a pillow. Like, I am a human being. You cannot just like jump on me without being like incoming. Like, they'll come up from behind. Do you know how scary that is? I'm like, and Jack's like, why do you always say you're a person? I'm like, because I am a person.
I feel like you've forgotten.
Quit jumping on me.
Oh
like,
my
I
gosh.
am not. I'm not a chair. Please.
They forget. I will say also, it has done a world of wonder removing people and scenarios that just are a problem. You know, especially when you communicate with them, like, this situation is triggering, what you're doing right now is triggering, and you've explained it to them, like, I need this to stop, and it doesn't change. You're like, you know what? We're good. Love you from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I, being a single parent, divorce is messy. Divorce is anxiety triggering. And every day it's take a day at a time. Some days are great. Some days are not great. And there are days where I have to, I might be talking on the phone with my ex-husband about something, and then the conversation shifts and it's like, oh boy, we're not doing this today.
Now we're in a different area.
Yes, we're not doing this.
Yeah, we were talking about pickup, and now we're talking about
something changed, and I'm not going there. Yep. So it's like, hey, okay, well, on that note, I'm going to let you go. Talk to you later. Have a great day, but I'm out. So just being aware of those things that are triggering, and being aware that you can control what you've got going on. You can walk away from things. You can say not today, and that's okay. Do that.
Yes, you can.
I will pick me every day. I will pick me to not go through all that every day.
And because you're picking you are being a less anxious mother.
Exactly.
And because you are a less anxious mother, you are more present and you are a better mother to your boys. Absolutely. Because you are less anxious. So
For sure.
Proud of you for choosing that.
Yes. And I think, it's awesome that there are so many ways to kind of combat your anxiety. Sometimes it's just turning on The Office and just like breathing that in, be like, okay, I feel good. It's comfortable. It's safe. Find those things that make you just feel good and help you kind of unwind. If you like taking a bath every night, I know so many of my friends on Instagram take a bath every night and they're like, I'm just shutting it down for the day. I'm like, yes, do that every day. I love that.
Your little rituals, things that are for you that just give you a few minutes to just calm down. So.
I do love that it is becoming more normal that we're all talking about, like, hey, I'm struggling with this. I'm having a hard time. I love shows like Working Moms where, it seems so very real. Like, oh, girl, you are overwhelmed and I feel that. And I love watching you get better with it. I love shows like that are just kind of, like, oh yeah, me too. Okay. Okay. So finding those things that help remind you that you are normal and that we're going to be okay.
Yes. And to moms listening, please hear us. Like, it is so normal if you're feeling anxious. I mean, like we said at the beginning, it's the majority of us that are feeling this way. Yeah. And so please talk to someone. Please, if you don't have someone like in your immediate circles to talk to, even like DM us and we will connect you with someone. I know Ashley has like some direct connections of people she can find someone to talk to you with, but we even just here on Houston Moms, like we have people to connect you with. Like, please do not hesitate to reach out because we want to make sure you have someone in your corner and someone to encourage you, and you're doing great.
Yay. All right, let's talk about our house blends. Jenny, what is your favorite post on Houston Moms right now?
So I was just loving this from Elizabeth, our editor. She wrote, diagnosing ADHD in girls, the clues I almost missed. And she talked about her daughter was diagnosed with ADHD about 6 months ago, and she's 10, which is kind of on the later side sometimes for a diagnosis, but just kind of talking about how there might have been some non-classic signs of ADHD when you think about like little boys with your kind of more classic signs of ADHD. These were maybe not as evident and maybe she almost missed it. And it was really eye-opening, and I've seen a lot of other people comment that this was kind of made them think about something either about themselves or about their own kids. So if that is something that is interesting to you, give that click that link in our bio.
Yes, in our show notes.
Yes. Oh, sorry. The social media manager here. Link in our bio. You know what I meant. Click a link.
It's
all right, Ashley.
You'll find it.
Do you have a caffeinator for us as we say goodbye today?
I do. So 51% of mothers say that they simply don't have a village outside of their partners and themselves to turn to. And I think, that is why the Cold Coffee Club is here. This is why Jenny, mentioned resources to reach out. It is so important that we have people that we can lean on, especially when we're going through stuff. Even if you're not going through stuff, just like to have in your corner on the day-to-day. It is so important to build that. And that's why Houston Moms is here. This is why Jenny and I are here. We can be part of your village. So.
I have met so many of my dearest mom friends online, like through Instagram. I have really met people that I consider not just like, oh, that's some rando that comments on my stuff. Like, we are friends, like actual friends that I have met online that are a part of my village. So,
so important.
Please reach out. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Cold Coffee Club, brought to you by Houston Moms. We wish you a fabulous week with your families and look forward to sharing many more cups of cold coffee with you.